Hey there, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of the Real Talk with Tian podcast. This is a podcast for aspiring and experienced designers, tech editors, and fiber artists who are go-getters that want to take their crafts to the next level. My name is Tian, and I'm your host and guide on this journey. So, what is this podcast about? Who is it for? What is it not? Well, it's for you. If you're interested in designing and tech editing or making your crafty endeavors into your full-time job, I'm sharing my experiences to encourage you. Let's be honest. If I can do it, so can you. What is this podcast not? Well, really, it's not a vanity project for me to hear myself talk because, to tell you the truth, I don't like to talk. I'm sick of hearing my voice already. So, take that with a grain of salt. I'm an introvert, and I would rather sit at home in my backyard watching my chicken roam and my dog run around pretending to be a big hunter, which he really isn't, picking out scents of that rascally chipmunk while sitting and crocheting on my next project. So really, this is just a project to share my knowledge and to help any aspiring designer or tech editors who just need a little push to get them in the right direction. So, who am I and how am I even qualified to create this podcast? Well, I'm a designer and a tech editor for both crochet and knit. I have well over 100 patterns available on Ravelry, with maybe another 20 or so in varying stages of doneness in my office, ready to be published. I've worked with tons of designers, uncountable numbers of patterns for print and digital magazines, books, collections, big brands, beginner designer on their way to their first design, to designers who have done 100 patterns. So I've worked with different levels of designers and publications. So I think that gives me the behind the scene look at different phases of design and pattern writing, publication, and I hope to be able to share that with you. In addition, I've written 2 books. One is Unlock Your Inner Designer, and that's a design book to help crocheters and knitters who wants to learn the basics of designing their first pattern. The other book is Pattern Launch Plan, and this is to help designers market and promote their designs. I've seen a lot of designers with questions, unsure of how to promote themselves. And I say that in air quotes, to promote yourself. And I wrote that book in the hopes of sharing what I've learned along the way from studying different marketing strategies and work that I've done myself. Additionally, I created courses. One is the Pattern Writing 101 course, and that is essentially a beginner pattern writing course. And then there's also how to grade a pattern using Microsoft Excel. And that doesn't really teach you how to grade, but it gives you the framework for grading using Microsoft Excel in a way to make the process faster and to be more accurate. In addition, I offer one-on-one coaching to help other designers, tech editors, and fiber artists reach their goals. Those goals can include hitting publish on their very first pattern, which is so exciting, to working with more experienced fiber artists who are looking to turn this hobby into a profitable living wage project. Since March 2012, I've been doing this full time, designing, tech editing, coaching, writing. If you want to hear that full story, I can get into it later. Leave a comment on the post for this post on Instagram, and I can just to get a gauge to see if you're interested, and then I can add that to the list of episodes that we can get into. So if you want to hear my origin story, how I started, leave a comment and I'll get to that. So anyway, I share my story here, or the small bit, in the hopes of inspiring you. It's not to brag or to show off, but really to give you some perspective and to share my why. My why is that I see on Ravelry and Facebook groups a lot of the questions I hope to answer with this podcast. And I'll talk more about some of those questions later in the episode. But for now, with my years of experience working with publications and indie designers, I have a front row seat to a wide view of the industry and the reality of what it takes to design and publish and try to make a go at it. And I'm here to share what I've learned, all of it. So, who is this podcast for? Well, this podcast is for women in the fiber industry. Yes, guys can listen too, but it's mainly for women who have a desire to be a designer, a tech editor, a dyer, or maybe you've already done those things, or you're already those things and you just want to level up, make a bigger impact, but don't have the knowledge of how to get to that next level. To be honest, we know women make a fraction of what a man does. And if you're a Black woman or a woman of color, it's even less. And in the craft and hobby industry such as this, it's hard to see making a living a possibility. Look, you have the heart and the talent, but not the tools. This podcast is about giving you real tactical information you can use to level up. Whether you're about to publish your first design and you're not sure what to do next. You have questions. You're wondering, do I get the pattern tech edited or have a test knitted? Where do I find a tech editor? Where do I find a test knitter? What's the difference between a tech editor and a tester? Do I only publish on Ravelry? Should I publish on Etsy? How much should I charge? Okay. Now maybe you've published a few patterns before, but you're just not getting noticed. You might have sold one copy, but that was months ago. You want to know how to get noticed, how to make more sales. You're wondering, is my design even good enough? What do I do when my design is similar to another design already published? How do I make consistent patterns? But sometimes it could just be that niggling question that's constantly in the back of your head. Why even bother? There's already a lot of talented designers out there. I can't compete, right? I hear you. We have tons of questions and negative thoughts swirling around in our heads. While I can't answer all of these questions today, hopefully I'll be able to get to more of these questions in future episodes. But really, my goal is to answer just one question today. And that's a big one. And that question is, why bother? I know, that's a pretty big question. But the funny thing is, the answer is so quick and easy, you'll be able to remember it and repeat it to yourself every time the doubt pops into your head. Now, are you ready for the answer? Okay, here it is. So, why even bother? Answer, because it's you. You matter. There is something in you and only you that you can do. I know that sounds weird, but stick with me here. There's a thing, a spirit, a gift inside of you that is uniquely you, that the world deserves. And by holding it in and being selfish with your gift, You're depriving the world of this thing that only you can provide. So share it because only you can do what you do. Yes, you're designing maybe a shawl or a sweater, but your take on that piece, your history, the perspective you bring, make it uniquely you. Does that even make sense? I hope so. So, just remember, why bother? Because you matter. Now, who is this? Who can be a designer? Well, you can become a designer. All you need is an understanding of crochet and knitting techniques. You don't need any fancy tools or degrees. The only thing standing between you and being a designer or tech editor or dyer or whatever is you. Your drive to take that first step despite knowing you might fail. You are the only thing standing between you and achieving your goals. And think about it this way. You can't publish your second, your third, your fifth, your 10th, your 100th pattern without that first scrappy pattern. So, if you know it's going to be crappy, get it over with and fast so you can get on with it, so you can get better with each new design. I hope you were able to take away something from this second episode. If any of the questions speak to you, you can relate and would like me to answer one or more or some other question, reach out on Instagram. You can find me there as Knit Designs by Tian, and leave a comment in the post for this episode. I'll use that to help guide this conversation because that's what this is, a conversation between friends, me and you. So leave your thoughts and feedback. Did you enjoy this episode? Rate, review, hit subscribe, and share with 5 of your friends who you think need to hear this. I can't wait to talk to you soon. Bye for now.